A couple of days ago, I was watching an old Hamza video on his second channel, and he was talking about how he wanted to change his life for 1.5 years. And that kind of hit me right here because I was thinking that I don't want to waste another 1.5 years to change my life. And basically, his story was he had just graduated from university, he had a crappy degree, he got like a condoned pass kind of thing, he had like 35%. And basically, the jobs he was getting, they were the same jobs that he was eligible to get before he had his degree, right? So it was a really, really crappy job. And he had this master plan, right? He had this plan where he was gonna work, and then when he comes back from work, he's gonna spend like an hour or two on his business, and then on the weekends, he's gonna double down on his business and that sort of thing. And it just never happened. Like he just kept procrastinating, kept falling into his bad habits. He was going to a crappy job, and then he was coming back and he was tired and he just couldn't get anything done. And I was just thinking to myself, other than the fact that I don't want to waste another 1.5 years, because when I think to myself, I've also wanted to change my life for about maybe a year and a half. I've wanted to change my life for as long as I can think. But where I've had like a plan that I've wanted to implement, it's a good plan, but I just haven't implemented it just because I just haven't had the discipline. It's been probably about 1.5 years. But the second point that really got to me was the fact that I realized this when I was listening to his video, right? When did he actually change his life? It was when things got so bad that he decided to move back with his parents, where he was home, he couldn't smoke weed, he couldn't do all of the bad habits. He was in a new environment, and he managed to change his life then. He just got into his military routine, went on it, and never looked back, right? It was a drastic measure he took. He quit his job, went back home, went on to government benefits. And when you do something like that, it's drastic, right? He was making like £300 a month, and he was paying like a chunk of that to his parents as like rent, basically. And when you do something like that, you've moved home from your parents, you're back to just being dependent on them again. It forces you to change your life, right? And I was thinking to myself, I was like, hold up. Okay, I graduated, well, I haven't done my graduation ceremony, but I've got my accounting degree. I finished my third year last year. I'm in my fourth year, my postgraduate, right? Like this is a serious degree. And then if I pass this year and I do another 3 years of like internship, I'll become a chartered accountant. Right now, a chartered accountant, it's not a crappy job at all, right? I'll be making decent money. So I don't think I'll ever get to the point where Hamza was, where things were so uncomfortable, he had to move back, where he's struggling when he's coming home and he's looking for something to eat in the fridge and there's nothing there. I'm probably not gonna have that. And for me, if I don't force myself to wake up, I'll just keep stumbling along, right? I'll be that average person where things are just comfortable enough to keep going. And that's when I had to look back. I was like, whoa. I could very easily waste this year, waste the next year and the next like 2 years until I have like a full-time job. And I'll just look back and be like, okay, I never actually like lived the life that I want to live. Like, don't get me wrong. If I'm gonna be a chartered accountant, I'll be making good money. I'll live a decent life. Like compared to the average person, I'll be living a decent life. But it's nowhere near the life I want to live, with like time freedom, financial freedom, and location freedom, where I can kind of do what I want and I've got time. Like, it's a very time intensive job. It demands a lot from you. But it's comfortable enough, right? Like I'm never gonna be like broke. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to kick my ass into gear and actually change stuff. And this is what I'm calling out to you. People like Hamza, and people that you hear those stories about people they've just had a really crappy life, and they had that moment that really changed it for them, right? Again, I was listening to Jon Bernthal. I don't know if you know him. He's like the Punisher. He's on the Punisher. He's an actor. He's on the Punisher. He was also Shane from The Walking Dead. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And he was talking about the moment his life changed. He had just been messing around in life or whatever, and then there was this situation that popped up. He had this dog it was a well-trained dog. It was off of his leash because it was well-trained, and this dickhead just like called up the dog, and he was like holding the dog, and when he was calling back his dog, it wasn't coming. And then he went and he grabbed his dog, and then he was walking. This guy came and pushed him, right? And he turned around and he knocked him out, and he landed, and he just didn't wake up. He was kind of like in a coma, basically. And what the police officer told him was that if this guy doesn't wake up, you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life. Your life is ruined, right? And he remembers like just looking up to God and just being like, please, if you can just let me get away with this one. If you can just get me through this, I will dedicate the rest of my life to my girl, to you, to just being better. And he literally, as he made that prayer, the guy walked back in and he said, oh, he's woken up, right? And you get something like that. It's a moment where like he's got that relief, where he's turned around, and like ever since then, like literally a year later, he got his role on The Walking Dead, which was kind of like his breakthrough. He was amazing on The Walking Dead. Love him. he changed his life. Like, he hasn't looked back since. But what I'm telling you, telling you, and what I realized for myself was, you and I are probably never ever going to get that kind of thing, right? We're just going to be like the average, and this is what happens to most people. They kind of just coast along. They never have that moment where it's make or break, right? And mind you, people that do have that make or break moment, it's not like, oh, you have the make or break moment and then you just make it. There's a lot of people who are in Hamza's situation. They decided, okay, screw this, I'm gonna go home and work on my business, and then they don't do it anyways, and then their life is just crap for like, that doesn't work out for them. There's a lot of people who are in Jon Bernthal's situation where it didn't work out, right? The guy didn't wake up and they went to jail and their life was ruined. So you and me are not gonna get that moment. It's very unlikely, and if we do, you still need to have the grit to take that moment and just be like, okay, I'm not making this mistake again. So I'm just like calling out to you, like, it's time to lock in and to go. If you want to like see what he said in the rest of his video, he was basically talking about his routine. Hamza was talking about a routine that he just follows, and he just followed it like a military. It was a military routine, he called it. He just follows system. I don't know if I made a video before, or probably I'm gonna make one soon about building systems. You need to build systems and you just follow those systems. That's what you need to do. Yeah, that's basically it for the video. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button to join the self-improvement brotherhood, and until next time, we'll see you boys.